So this morning I wanted to talk about blankets and buttonholes. People had asked me about the blanket stitch, and it's actually this pretty much the same stitch that you would use for buttonholes. So what I suggested was to have a piece of material, a needle, a thread of some contrasting color, just so you can see your stitches well, and a thimble if you want. And this is the stitch we're going to be working with. It's called the buttonhole stitch, and it has lots of variations, which I'll tell you about later. But we're going to be looping the thread under the needle in order to complete this stitch, and I'll show you a little bit more about that as we go along. A word about thimbles. Your classic thimble is the metal one that you see here, and there are new ones, so they're made from different plastics. This one's kind of soft, so it conforms to your finger, and this one has become one of my favorites. It's also made of rubber, and so they come in different sizes, but it clings better to your finger. These I find, especially with all my hand problems, fall off my hand now, and so you have to get just the right size, and sometimes this one will fall off my hand, but this one clings to me better. So there are lots of different thimble alternatives if you're used to using one. So let's fold the fabric so we have an edge, a folded edge. That's what I'm looking for right now, and we're going to treat that as the edge that we're finishing. And I made a little video here of making a knot, and basically what you do is you wind the thread around your finger. So here I've placed it on my finger, and I kind of wet it a little bit. So can you see this?
I don't see the video.
I don't either.
Oh, thank you. Okay. All right. Let me go back. Did I not get that sharing right? Let's see let's try again. So I'll back up a little bit so that
there we go. That's good.
Yeah.
All right. So here's my video, and because I don't have the kind of camera that I can do this live very well, but you place it on your finger, and I wet it a little bit so that it'll stick to my finger a little, and then you wind it around your finger like that, so it's crossing over, and then you rub it and just curl it. So now you have a knot. Oh. So that's your basic seamstress knot. And it's handy. Whoops, let's go on to the next. All right, so first step, we're gonna set the needle. So from the back of your fabric, just take a little stitch or two toward the edge, because we want the thread to come out at the edge of the fabric. So just set your thread. And then we're going to make a stitch up and around to come back up to the edge and make a loop. So from the front to the back, come up to the edge again, making a vertical stitch, and leave the thread at the very end. So it looks like this. And notice how I've looped the thread around.
I'm doing this correctly.
So each time you go around, you want to go through that. And here's another little video to give you an idea. So you're going to go in and through that loop and loop it around.
Oh,
okay. Take another stitch through the loop and up. So part of it is how you're winding the thread. It's not just about the stitch, but also about how we're moving and controlling that thread. Now here's one where I started it wrong. I'll just show you how I did it. And see, I forgot to loop the thread, so now I'm doing after the fact. But if you do it before you pull that needle through, you still have control. You can still figure it out.
No, I'm still not doing this right.
Put a stitch in, come up through the loop so that you're carrying the thread across the top of that edge.
I got it. I'm seeing.
And it just takes practice. So you just keep going, and eventually you'll get a rhythm going.
I'm not coming down hard far enough.
The hardest part for me is keeping the stitches consistent, you know,
Yeah.
like the same spacing and the same size.
Yes. The tension on the, trying to keep the same tension on the thread seems to be my issue.
How are we doing?
Good.
Okay.
Looking good.
It's
Yeah,
like
you'll get the hang of
different.
it. You know, as Kim mentioned, Kim, just say something when you put it up so the camera will bring you up big. Just speak. There you go. Talk some more.
I started a little uneven, so it's getting better.
Yes,
Kinda hard to
good.
see.
Yeah, so you'll estimate, you know, just for practice, try to do, say, 1/4 of an inch in, but you can vary it even. And one of the interesting variations of this stitch is to do them at different depths and make a sort of pattern of your different depths. Hi, Claire.
I like this. Claire, hi. Mrs. Weston.
Here I've got a picture up for you now of the blanket stitch and some of those variations I talked about, where you, if you vary the depth, you can make a sort of pattern.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I like it. Hey, we ought to do this next time we make those blankets for charity.
That's right. That's one of the things we can do. Here's some other variations. You can see you can get real creative with it.
Oh, yeah.
So they've made little X's or little triangles,
Oh, how do you do that?
or come back and loop the thread.
Oh, you come back.
or
Okay.
not. And you may come up with variations of your own, but just to give you some ideas.
That's
then
confusing.
Sometimes you can use it for essentially creating a hem or attaching something like the blanket binding. You know, it's like bias binding, only it's wider. And so you could use this decorative stitch to attach it, in which case you're going to go through all those layers. And maybe it'll lay flat against your fabric rather than being at the edge. But the main idea is to bind an edge. So if you're doing a buttonhole, you would just be doing them a lot closer together.
Okay.
So
I think my issue is the thread is so much thicker than the material. It's I would do this again, but I would use a thread that's more like the same tensile strength as the material.
Sure, yeah,
Yes.
you can do all kinds of, right, use those variations. You could use yarn if you wanted to, or whatever that gets the effect that you want. You know, get creative, do whatever you want. But it's good to have a contrasting material when you're practicing like this, just to get the hang of how to run the thread and manage that so that you get a nice, neat edge. Whitney, show me the edge of your fabric so we can. Hi, Claire.
It just got worse.
Oh, okay.
I think I lack the patience of my seniors.
Turn the very,
Michael!
turn the very edge. Good morning, Michael. No, turn the very edge toward the camera so we can see the way the threads cross over on the edge.
Hi,
Hi, Claire.
sorry about the delay. Had personal business to take care of.
Sure. Whitney,
Yeah.
talk to me when you show that edge.
Oh,
so we
I'm
can put the
showing
camera
you
on the screen.
the deterioration of my stitching.
No, but that's good. So we can see how the threads are hooking nicely over that edge. So
Yes.
this thread now is the edge instead of the raw edge of the material.
Yes, yes. If I had a little more patience or time, I'd probably do it more neatly.
Yeah.
I gotta
Can
go.
you turn on
right
our
now.
video, please?
Yes, I'm turning it on. Just a second.
Okay,
Thank you very much. I'll see you next time.
Joyce, I have to scoot too for another meeting, but I'm so glad to come in. I can't wait I'm going to send you an email because I want to keep up with you.
Okay.
Okay,
And
bye.
if there's anything else that you'd like to put on our agenda, just let me know.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you very much.